Night night. Night night. That was a classic there. That was just a classic.
We'll have to edit that one.
That edit's gonna cost a little bit.
Hey, though, that's this is going on YouTube, and I'm pretty sure your wife will love to hear that.
Yeah.
I'll say it in front of her, I don't care. Alright, I'm Chad Leverett in Auburn, Alabama. Just found this deer, shot it 48 hours ago.
What'd you shoot him with?
270.
270. It was an up close shot.
Yeah, 20 yards or less away from me.
Yeah, so you probably didn't get much expansion with all the power.
No. Got good blood on him. Trailed him for about 300 yards. After 300 yards, lost blood and lost my flashlight, so I was dead in the water in the woods. Shot this deer 48 hours ago.
48 hours. So you shot him
2 days ago.
The eve of the big snowstorm.
Yes.
We had a big snowstorm, had 3 or 4 inches.
Right before the snow came in.
Okay.
Shot him about 4:30 in the afternoon 2 days ago.
And we're back. This is Hoop with Hog Rush. We got a call the other night from one of my farmers. He said one of his buddies had shot a deer late in the evening. They tried to find it with flashlights. Deer ran off, shot it with a 270 of all things. And it was a close shot, so we didn't get him. Must not hit any bone, but tried to go out that night with the drone to find him, and on the way up there, roads were blocked. They had the ice come in, the snow and everything, so couldn't make it up there, which is probably a good thing, because the next day we went up there, and it was kind of stop and go, you know, these bridges, overpasses, shaded areas on the roads. But anyway, we made it up there, and got on scene, and I told Chad, new friend Chad, that's the guy that shot the deer. I said, look, walk down there, last place you saw deer, saw the drops of blood, because he did have a good blood trail, he said, which is good.
I trailed him about 300 yards with blood till I lost the blood trail, and just basically gave up. A buddy of mine came out yesterday.
Now, was it dark whenever you were trailing him?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were trailing with a flashlight trying to find some blood and everything?
Yep.
Prior to the snowstorm?
Right before the snowstorm. A buddy of mine came out here yesterday. I put him in the area that it was at, and he walked around for probably 2 hours looking for him. Couldn't find him. Come out today and go back to where I saw last blood, and Brett put the drone up, and within about 10 minutes he walked me right to him.
All right, so from the field you shot him in, where you first shot him, how far guesstimation is he to here?
Probably a good 350 yards.
Okay, do you remember how many feet that was on the
900.
Yeah, about
930 something.
About 1,000 feet through real thick woods. Right here, stand up. You say you had to walk through a bunch of junk to get here, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we directed him in with the drone, and I had him on the cell connection there. And what was it like within 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Within 5 minutes, we picked up a little heat signature. It was very faint, and I walked him right in there, had him turn around, and he said, I said, you see him? He said, I found my deer.
Yep. Had the snow come in. Couldn't get back out here.
It snowed pretty good that night, didn't it?
Yeah, we got about 3 or 4 inches of snow.
Yeah, that's when they shut the city down, shut the state down.
Had a buddy come out here yesterday and walk around. He couldn't find it. Was able to get in touch with Rhett here. He come out here and helped me find it.
How'd we do it? Overlord. Overlord. Yeah, video. You'll see in the video. We got a little thermal imaging video. We'll play on there too. But look forward to
that. I think a little meal and some gas money would be good.
I'll hook you up with that.
I got a 42-gallon tank.
Hey, that's
All right, what you're viewing here is the scene from a drone. It has a thermal camera on it. And at this point, we have Chad in the woods. He's at the last point where he saw blood. Blood trail ran out. And I've advised him, once he hears the drone coming, to start waving his arms and let us know where he is. That way we can kind of vector in on him, make it more efficient search for this deer. And you see a creek there. I fast forward a little bit. All right, there you see in the top of the screen, that's Chad. He's waving his arms around. It's high resolution thermal imagery. We're coming in on him. And what I'm going to do here is just get up over him, and then I'm going to tell him to, you know, put his arms to the right and then put his arm to the left. Give me kind of an angle, a fan there where he thinks the deer may have gone. Kind of like the, you know, the pathway where he thinks the deer may have gone. So he's got the right area there, and he's got the left. So you've got a transition there. I believe it's planted pines and up next to a hardwood bottom, and where the creek is. So basically what I'm going to do is go over here to the right and start a grid search, and that's where I just basically get the frame of the camera to the right, where I think usually when a deer or an animal gets shot, it kind of takes the same path. Now, pigs are kind of different. They kind of run kind of squirrely through the woods. You never know which pathway once you lose the blood trail, but deer usually runs toward the creek and lay down in the creek. But Chad said he had already jumped him out of the creek, so you know, it's kind of hard to tell where he went other than the blood trail. So we're just going to follow that path. All right, and then you see me turning. I'm turning, trying to get that right angle there, and follow the path down there. Now, we had flown from the other side of the property, on the other side of the road, before this, and we realized that it was probably a better decision to have Chad in the woods up next to the creek there where he saw the last blood drops, because he did spend a lot of time tracking this deer and had a real good blood trail. It was a good solid lung shot. It was just a little far back. I think if it had hit it a little up closer to his you know, front shoulder, he probably would have hit a bone or something and got that temporary wound cavity big enough to shock the deer and go ahead and put him down and where he'd bleed out. But here we are, you know, just kind of doing a grid search. I keep switching back between what you call white hot, which is where the hotter objects will be white and the cooler objects will be a darker contrast. You see the darker contrast there, that's snow. We are flying in the where it has snowed, so the darker you see there is going to be snow. And when I switch over to what they call black hot, that'll be where you have the hotter images, you know, like a human or a deer or something like that that's living or whatever. It'll be a blacker color, and then the colder images will be you know, the snow. The whiter images will be snow. So here I am, and we had seen this landmark right here from the other side when we flew before the first flight. It looks like just a group of pipe they had got standing up there to do probably a bridge crossing or something at some point, but that's on the man's property. He had let us come over. We got in contact with this landowner. The deer actually crossed property lines here. One of the club members, Chad, is in there. He had the landowner's name, and we got with him, and he wasn't too far away. It was about a 30-minute drive. We got over there, got the key, and a nice fella, nice house, and then we came back over and unlocked the gate and came in from this side where it'd be more accessible with the truck. Otherwise, we'd have had to drive back to Chad's house, get his ATV, and you know, it would have been a mess, and it was already dark. So we wanted just to get the most efficient way to recover this deer if we did find it. And then of course we had to go to the Longhorn and get us a nice meal there. Chad treated everybody. But here's a false positive. I thought I may have seen something here, and this is white hot setting. So this little blip here in the center of the screen, I'm trying to zoom down on. It came down to about 90 feet above this object, and it was most likely an exposed root. I didn't know it at the time, but this was that lane right there was where they had thinned some timber, and you know, it's probably some sticks and stuff down there. You see a little bit of speckled hot spots and whatnot. Usually, even though it's been 2 days after this deer was shot and no sun had hit it whatsoever, the carcass will still hold heat up to 2 weeks in the summer most likely. But here we're working on the edge of the time limit on when this thing's going to be frozen. And there you see a hot spot there that does turn out to be something. And we're going to get Chad up under the drone. Right here, me and Brian were looking at it real close, and we're thinking that looks just like a deer laying down, maybe his neck to the right there, coming up there. and then you have over to the right, you have another hot spot, and then there's one in the center. So here we're zooming in on this area just to get some coverage. I got plenty of battery life left, and we're going to try to get Chad over there to check it out on scene, because he's right there with it. And I'm playing this thermal imaging in real time. I'm not doing any editing with it on this part of it, because I want everybody to see that this is how it went down, and how we recovered this deer. It was a long shot, we all had to admit, but without this technology, we wouldn't have found the deer. Most likely, he may have found it the next week after the coyotes and everything got a hold of it. But you're looking at 2 days after, and it's basically like hanging in a meat locker, because the temperatures were down in the mid-20s pretty much the whole time. So I'm just kind of hovering right here, just giving Chad an idea where it is. You can hear the drone. It has the LEDs on the bottom. You can see it. So he's working his way over right now from where he was at the last blood trail, last speck of blood he saw. And he had it clearly marked. He had his little app on his phone. He dropped a pin, showing all that stuff. So he's pretty well involved in the technology too, can manage all that stuff. So and I'm just kind of hovering around, and I'm just kind of looking for Chad at this time. I don't see him coming in, so I'm just going to kind of pan up and trying to stay, in the area of that scene where we want him to go. Don't want to get too far because we may lose it. Even though we do have the Google Earth on the map there for the drone. Let's see, where is he? There he is. Okay, he's walking in. I got the black hot. You see it's clearly visible now. Chad's clearly visible. He's turned black, which is black hot. So then you back to white there. And in some scenarios, some humidity, the black and white hot, they both have their pros and cons. But generally, we use the white hot, and I've got the camera set to where you have a clear transition of contrast there between like the snow and the hot object. This camera's pretty sophisticated. You can adjust all that. So now I'm going to try to get in a better view of him and the objects we're trying to get him to walk to. And right now we're on the cell phone with him and in contact with him, just telling him what we need him to do. And we'll kind of probably go to the left here and get up over him and see. We're telling him to walk. Look at the ground. Look at the ground. What do you see? And the first hot object was actually a deer scrape on the ground, where the deer try to lure the does in, the pee on it, and all that stuff. So it was a hot spot on the ground, and here he finds his deer, and it's the hot spot right there in the opening to the top. You see, it's a real faint gray color. He's grabbing the antlers and twisting around. He's talking. Oh, he's excited. Blah blah blah. He's talking. It was really rewarding for me and Brian to sit here and watch this and witness it over the phone. We had him on the speaker, and he's looking up at the drone. Oh, we got the deer. And you're going to see him in a second here. He's going to flip it over, and you'll see the heat where the deer had been, laying down. The carcass trapped the heat in the snow. So, he's going to expose where there's no snow. You see that right there. You see the deer's legs and the part of the abdomen there. And now he's exposed the ground that was warm because the deer trapped it. So successful recovery. This whole thing, is. I'm looking at the counter now. It's like 10 minutes into the flight, maybe. From the time I did the grid search, you're looking at probably 2 or 3 minutes. And it was a long shot, but we got him. So he's got the deer to cherish. I don't know if he was going to do a European mount or do the real mount, but the head mount. But that's up to him. It's his deer. We're about to head out and go to Longhorn. Or actually, we're going to get the key to the gate, and it's probably another hour and a half or 2 hours before we get him out of there. Maybe an hour and a half. We actually had to drive in, and we didn't want to mess the gentleman's food plot up. He had some deer plots in there, and so we drove into the edge of one of them, and it was kind of wet down through there, and didn't want to track it up. So we actually had to drag the deer about 200 yards, and we swapped out. It was kind of fun there, but I always have fun. That's what it's about. So Chad is going to mark where he's dragging this deer to, and we're going to fly the drone, land back over here. Me and Brian are waiting on the drone to come back. We've flying in there, and you see the timber this thing ran through to get where he went, and it was you know, tracking dogs probably could have found him. You never know. I mean, it snowed. Obviously, there were no dogs for him to call or whatever, but I feel this is a pretty efficient way to recover a downed animal, downed game, downed deer. You shoot a deer and it runs off, and you can't make those you know, knockdown shots every shot. And you hear them all the time, bow hunters shooting a deer and it ran off, they can't find it. But we'll be glad to help you with it. You can reach me at hoop@hogrush.com, HOOP@hogrush.com, or 334-430-8111. We're in the Montgomery, Alabama area, and we will travel. You're looking at, you know, $250 for me to show up on a site within 60 miles of Montgomery, and every mile after that's $1. So, you know, if we go 100 miles after that, you're looking at $100 extra on top of that. So you just kind of figure that in. But here we are landing the drone back over there, and you'll see the more you know, the closer up you get, the more detail you're going to see on something, obviously. And this is the highest resolution camera you can purchase at this point. I'm sure the military has some stuff that probably weighs 500 pounds. It's in a C-130 that probably has a 1080p, but at this time, to be a portable object, you know, to film with, this is the best you can get. So that's a successful flight, successful landing. Found the deer, and we're about to get Chad back up here. We had to wait on him a pretty good while because it was quite a hike down that hill and through all that stuff. He had to go through some briars and stuff, whatnot. But
Pretty tough. There he is. That's what I'm talking about.
He's stiff though.
Get a little video there. That's what I'm talking about. Was he about 18 inches?
Close to it.
That's a good symmetrical buck there.
Yeah.
Kick the turbos in.
It was all right until we hit this thing.
Damn, what's going good? What happened?
If you just not stand on his tail, we'd probably already be there.
That damn snow was like WD-40.